Hello, my name is Paul Edwards. Welcome to Man Friendly Church, a channel dedicated to bring the equality back into the house of God, so we have an equal number of men and women. We do this in two ways. First, by understanding how men and women think differently, and second, by promoting methods that encourage men to attend and become part of the local church. This seems an unusual question. What does Disney know that the church doesn't? Well, about God, probably nothing. But about marketing, they know quite a lot. They have a boutique for children where they make them up. But they actually market it very, very differently. If you go in there with a little girl or read on their website, what they're offering is something for a princess. That's what girls want to be. They want to be a princess. Gives them a hairstyle. They do some makeup. They give them a princess gown. Gives them a crystal tiara. That makes them feel special and loved because they're looking their best. But the boys package, nothing like that. They're a knight. They're hard. They're ready for their next adventure. Dragons beware. This is a real hard boy coming. There's brave knights they're creating. Instead of a dress and makeup, they give them a sword and a shield. They're ready to go out for battle. That's because boys are different to girls. In Disney terms, they market differently to boys. Girls and boys are not the same thing. But let's fast forward that into the church of today. This young lady here praying is the same as a bloke down the gym who's all about making his muscles work. Or she's the same as any other bloke that walks past their church. They don't think that they can market differently to men and women. And I want to say, if the church doesn't learn from Disney, we're missing something. The question is, how do we advertise to men? The church has been doing it for years. And one of my favourite misquotes is supposedly it's Albert Einstein who said this, but if you look it up, he probably didn't. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I want to redefine that for the church. The definition of insanity is doing the same advertising that attracts women and expecting men to turn up. That's me. And it is nuts. If we find that last time we did something on Facebook, or we put a tweet out on Twitter, or we printed some leaflets and gave them to people, we had more women than men turn up. Is it that men dislike church, or is it that we're not advertising church in a way that speaks to them? Well, coming from a church where we have about 50-50 men and women, I would like to argue that it's because the church is not speaking men in their language. I did a little bit of research, and I'll put this link at the bottom. Is Optimunk, they actually did a thing on the differences between men and women with targeted advertising. And what women and men respond to are very different. Women respond when they feel that the person who's writing the advert gets them. They get the situation they're in, that gets their problems. Has some good descriptive phrases. It makes them or others feel safe and secure. This is what I want. And if the advert shows empathy and love and feeling for the person, women respond to that. And that is quite how we've become adept at writing our adverts in the church, because those are all the religious sounding phrases that are going to affect women. But we want to affect men as well. So what affects men? Looking professional. Not doing a cheap and nasty advert with a bit of clip art. Make it look professional. Your comments are more short, sharp, to the point. Men can get it quickly at a glance. Something that solves a problem for them or is about helping others. That's what men do. They solve problems. They like to be problem solvers, and that's the way they work best. If it's about helping others, men will respond to help others. Most men don't think they need to be helped, and they really don't ask questions for help until they're really desperate. I'm going to read to you some ways of doing some advertising, and you tell me which one you think is aimed at women and which one you think is aimed at men. Membership course advert. Join the security of being part of our family. Is that a male or a female advert? Instead, what about find where your skills fit in here? Is that going to work better for a man or for a woman? Or you're running an evangelistic event, you want new people to come into the church. Which is going to work better for the men or for the women? Use the Bible to solve real life problems, or how the Bible solves your problems. Which is going to talk better to men and for women? You're doing a missionary night, you're going to have a talk from a missionary. Which is going to work better for the men? See how building a new school changed lives, or see how God's love changed the life of people in need. Can you work it out? You're advertising a ministry night. Are you talking about help people break bad habits, gambling, overeating, pornography? You're telling people you can help others. Or, fed up feeling guilty, get the advice and prayer support you need. There's very good reasons why women and men will respond to these. The first one, join the security, being part of our family, is obviously a female type thing. Women like security, they like family, they like love. They're going to respond best to an advert like that. Whereas men, find where your skills fit in here. If men think they can do something useful for your church, they'll want to be part of it. Men respond to solving problems. You're running an evangelistic event. How the Bible solves your problems. Women will like that because it's talking to them. They've got problems, they need help, they need advice. Men like to do things themselves. So instead of telling them the Bible will solve their problems, we're going to show you how to use the Bible to solve your problems. That's going to work a lot better for men. You've got a visiting missionary. See how God's love changed the life of people in need. Again, we're coming to an emotional, a feeling one. Women will respond to that kind of language. Men, see how building a new school changed lives. Men are thinking, we've solved a problem, that's good. This is our way of thinking. Or if you're opening up a night for ministry, inviting people who are fed up and feeling guilty to come along, you can get the advice and the prayer support you need. Women like that. They like the security, they like the love, they like the support. Whereas men, they want to solve problems. They don't want to admit to weaknesses. So saying, you can come and learn how to help other people, they'll come along that because they're going to be a problem solver for someone else. And if they're honest with themselves, they might have a problem with, say, gambling, overeating, pornography, whatever it is they've got a problem with, but they don't have to admit it to turn up to this meeting. You're more likely to get men turn up. I want to talk about putting together adverts to attract men. Unless you're doing a gender-specific event, i.e. you're doing a men's breakfast, then use male-only ways of advertising. But most of the time you're going to need to find a balance between stuff that works for the men and the ladies. Think about it in your language. Keep all your adverts looking professional. If the advert looks like it's a cheap bit of clip art printed on an old bit of paper and then photocopied, men are not going to respond very well to it. But you do a little bit of design, get a graphic designer, or get some of the resources you can get off the internet. Life Church with Craig Rochelle, churches can register and get free resources from them. It's worth it. You will up the level that men will respond. When you're putting information on the leaflet, as much as you can, keep the points short, sharp and to the point. You'll need to include enough to get the ladies interested, but don't waffle too much that you put the men off. Bullet points are a really easy way to separate it out and make it easy to understand. That's why I use bullet points here. As much as is reasonably possible for what you're advertising, include practical solutions as well as feelings where possible. Generally, if you're not sure, I would recommend erring towards the male feelings, because if the men are coming, their ladies will generally come with them, even if the advertising didn't get them so much. But if it's a very touchy-feely advert, the women are coming because they're excited, but the problem is the men are unlikely to come along. So I would suggest it will work better and you'll get more people turn up if you lean towards the men. Not because the men are better, because the men are just more determined not to waste their time. If the advert talks about problems, include something about the feeling so the ladies can get it, but keep it about what problems are. And then describe some solutions and the results in both practical and emotional ways. We're trying to get at the men and the women, but just remember both sexes when you're thinking about it. I hope these things were useful for you if you're planning on any events or anything where you need some advertising. Thank you very much. God bless.